Namaste and welcome to the Essence of Knowledge weekly meeting, which is a part of the Essence of Knowledge program. This program is available for free and online on gyanmark.guru for all the seekers. Here we conduct the program and I try to help, try to answer your questions, etc. And we also conduct tests. So today we are going to start with a test of Aditya.
I thank you, Guruji, for imparting me this knowledge. Now I will begin my test by answering the first question. How are spiritual goals achieved on the path of knowledge? On the path of knowledge, the goal is to realize this self which we already are. It focuses on removing the ignorance. So finally, we don't achieve anything. We just realize what we already were. And that is done through removing ignorance with the help of knowledge. What causes knowledge? Knowledge is a connection between the memories which were formed while we took the experience, and then we establish a logical relationship among these memories in order to get some knowledge. Okay, and now the third question. How can the individual decide what is true when the individual itself is false? So I think the individual which here is referred is as a body mind complex. And we know that if we consider ourselves as this body and mind, which is an experience itself, so it is a changing thing. It is an object which continuously changes. The body changes, our thoughts changes, our memories changes. So whatever which changes is false. And the observer which observes this change, which the individual is the true. Therefore, the individual which thinks that I am this body, the ego, is false. And the one who experiences it is the real self. So, why is knowledge discarded in unknowing? Mm, what can be known is an experience. The experiential itself cannot be known, and the knowledge which we have got through this part of knowledge by uh, thinking carefully about the experiences, we only get experience. We cannot know the unknowable. So, at last, when all of the ignorance is removed, then the individual must give up thinking about what is an experiencer or who it is, because it already is. And if he thinks that, oh, I have found the experiencer, then it is the experience itself, as experiencer cannot be seen. Existence is everything, but everything is false. So existence is false, true or false. We cannot say that experience existence is false. For our understanding, we have divided the existence as the experiencer and the experience. In it, the experiencer is the real self, which knows everything, while the experience is the part which changes. So we cannot say that existence is false, but what we think the existence to be as an experience is the false. Okay, now moving to the sixth question. Why is the experiencer located inside my head? So here a logical mistake is made that we have found the location of the experiencer, and if it can be located inside my head or any body part, it becomes an experience, and the uh, experiencer is not an object, so we cannot find its position or its properties. So the question itself is incorrect that experience is located somewhere. It is just being. Okay, now moving on to the next question. Awareness practice is concerned with improvements in one's behavior according to truth. True or false? No, awareness practice does not focuses on improvement and behavior, though it is a side product of being aware that one becomes more ethical or mm, a wise person takes on less burden. But the practice is just about being. It is not focusing on the outcomes, rather focusing on the self and be what we are, the experiencer who just observe all the experiences. Okay, now moving on to another question. Do the word object or body exist even when they are not perceived like in deep sleep? From the ultimate point of view, nor do the objects or the body exist, only the experiencer is. The body, objects, and world are the experiences which are seen through the experiencer. So, in deep sleep, there is a complete blankness, but it doesn't mean that experiencer has gone because we still know that there was a blankness in there. A blankness itself is an experience or an object. It is absence of object, but it is still a thing which can be experienced. So, in deep sleep, we cannot perceive any object or body, but the experiences still remains. Okay, now on to the another question. In oneness, the experience and experiencer disappears and only emptiness remains. Explain. Okay, after we have realized that we are the experiencer and it cannot be found anywhere, also we haven't experienced this world without an experience. So it is like a coin where the two sides of the coin cannot be uh, separated. Like similarly, the experiencer and the experience cannot be seen too differently. Both are always found together. So we can say that emptiness which remains is the experiencer itself, though experience can exist, but it is experiencer itself. Okay, moving on to the last question. Is contemplation and information, is contemplation on information a source of knowledge? Yes, I think that contemplation on something which we have gained through experience and establishing some logical connections between them through valid means can result into sources of knowledge. And this knowledge will help to remove the ignorance. Okay, here I conclude my test. Uh, Let me know anything further.
Thank you very much. It was a very good attempt, and you got 6.5 out of 10, which is not really bad. It is good score. However, it is not excellent. Only two answers were wrong, where you did not get any marks, and three were half right. I mean, the explanation was okay, but the rest were right. It is okay. It is fine. So you have cleared the test. It is pass, and you are in step number 4. Congratulations. However, I want to add here that you will benefit more if you take time to think about the question a little bit, start explaining a little bit, then reach the conclusion after some amount of time. Let's say if you give each question 2 or 3 minutes, and you will get the answer more precisely. So anyhow, there were some questions which were very difficult, and it requires probably hours of thinking. But so the test is time limited, so it is anyway good performance. So go ahead. You are in step number 4 now. Your progress is good. There's nothing to worry. Only this much. If you improve, you will be able to answer everything. So I invite any questions, if there are any questions, before we talk about the test questions. Okay, we have a question by Neelam. We'll start with that. Is intelligence or wisdom an attribute of the experiencer? And the answer is very clear that the experiencer or the essence of this existence is totally attributeless, nirgun, qualityless. One line answer. And you can verify it because you are the experiencer. Are you a witness of the activities that we call intelligence or wise behavior, wise talk, wise thought, intelligent actions, intelligent thinking, and logic? Are we a witness of all these abilities, or do we have it in the experiencer? It is very easy to verify. And the logic says that if there is something in the experiencer, it will be changing. Intelligence can go down, up, sometimes not so intelligent thoughts arrive. People are not equally wise. So it is a changing thing. And if it changed, it is not true, it is not the essence. Essence does not change. So always apply this criteria to find out what is there in the experiencer. If you found something, it is an experience of some kind, and the experiencer separates out from that, stands behind that. Incidentally, the word existence means exactly that. Ex means outside, stance means to stand. That which stands outside whatever is happening. That was a very wise word, isn't it? So hopefully you got the answer with explanation. Same formula can be applied to any doubt that arises in the mind. Is the experiencer good? Is it ethical? Is it metaphysical thing? Supernatural? And some other dimension? Etc. etc. You can apply always the same. You just look, direct experience. If you found something, conclude it is not the experiencer, because to which it is appearing is the real experiencer. Arvind is saying, sometimes while in witness consciousness, we do realize that what is going over in mind is ignorance. Still we get compulsions from mind and act on those thoughts. We can say that maybe we lack willpower at the time, or we sometimes react impulsively to some situations, even when realizing that it is out of ignorance. How to improve on this? Yes, very good question. Whatever you're calling witness consciousness, we call awareness practice. You will only shine light on what is happening, and that itself will not cause it to stop. Sometimes it will stop, but it will happen anyway in the mind. If there is a habit, if there is an impulse, if there is a compulsion, it will appear in the mind as usual. But the awareness will throw light on it. There will be something which will register this. Oh, this is a compulsion. This is something which is coming from ignorance. This is coming from my past habits. The awareness does only this much. Here you need to stop and wait. And this stopping, a little bit of patience, is also enabled by awareness, because you keep looking what happens next. Like a scientist looking and taking readings, scientist checking the instruments, what is going on. He is not doing more than that. He is not trying to stop what is going on, because the awareness is not a doer, isn't it? So it is not about doing, it is about watching. So like a scientist, it is watching what happens next, very curious. This impulse has arisen. Now, what is next? What action will happen? How the mind will justify? How the mind will say that this is the right thing to do? Watch all this. Take time. Delay the action. This will delay the action because you are busy in watching instead of doing something. The more you delay, the more control you get on what happens. If it is very strong, it will happen. And that cannot be stopped, because there is nobody to stop. The one who thinks I am doing it is the ego, And the one who thinks I'm stopping it is also the ego. And ego is a false construct of the mind. It is only thought in the mind. This does not have capacity to do anything. The actions happen. Your only freedom is, your only capacity is to watch it. Then a miracle happens. That is the only miracle of awareness, that the intellect arises, which is more pure this time. It has seen what is going on, and you get another chance to take a different decision, to decide differently, to choose something else. Every time you look at what is going on in the mind before the action happens, you will get a choice. Sometimes there are two choices, sometimes three or four. Now the intellect becomes active, and there is a power to choose something else. This power is not the ego. This is something more basic. It is not awareness. It is not experiencer, obviously. It is mind itself, but it is an awakened mind. It has realized that I have a choice. What was the situation when there was no awareness, when there was complete darkness? The mind was not knowing its power. Impulse action, that only this much was known there. Only this program was there, stored program. Whenever it happened, yes, I need to do this. And it happened. Intellect never gets a chance to say something. The intellect arises after everything has happened. Oh no, something wrong happened. And then the ego says, I did something wrong. Then the ego blames something else. You see, this is the game of the ego. This is the whole mental process. So the key is to let intellect arise before the action. This is the small secret. If you delay the action, which is possible only by awareness, by simply looking like a scientist, what is happening curiously, the intellect arises, and that you can call willpower. You can exercise your willpower to choose something else. Now, how will the improvement happen? Every time you choose the other thing instead of your habitual impulsive action, something else, it can be anything. Every time you make the other choice, the previous impression, previous impulse becomes weaker. Again and again, if you practice this, the previous impulse will become weaker and weaker. However, don't do it knowingly, it must be done naturally. Whenever it happens, do it. So the new training happens. We say in spiritual terminology, new impressions are written in the memory. It is very much like computer. You wipe out the old data and write the new data, and the actions happen due to this new data, due to this new program. It is like self-training. So awareness will cause the weak impulses to disappear completely, but the strong ones, which are acquired through many lifetimes or long years, they do not go away so easily. So those that exist, check if they are harmful or not. If they are not harmful, it's perfectly okay. Like a man wants to act like a man, a woman impulsively acts like a woman, and these things need not disappear. They are not harmful. They are actually good for life. They are good for this organism. So check if it is harmful. Is it stopping your spiritual progress? And only then you need to make another choice. In short, you can say aware choice, aware choice. Remember these two words, they are the key. Choosing consciously, another word. How will that happen? How to choose consciously? How to be aware? If you can separate yourself from what is happening in the mind, awareness will arise. For that, knowledge of the self is necessary. If you distance the mind and mental processes from what you really are, then you can hope for some control. Then you can look at choices that are present there. You will find only one thing, that the mind is also free. Like you are free, you are the experiencer. You are infinitely free. But you will see that the mind is also free, although it is somewhat limited, but it has choices. The choices were never seen because of ignorance, because of darkness, of unawareness, unconsciousness. Now you will see new choices there. I can do this also, I can do that also, I can stop this also, I can stop that also. You can call that willpower, but actually nobody is doing it. It is happening. If alternate choice is present, and if it is a good choice, intelligent choice, if there is a desire to take it, it will be taken. And the more it happens, and the less the previous behavior appears. It will appear less and less. And finally, it will be wiped out. It will take time. It can take time, yes. Just like any other practice, any other training, it takes many years. For efficiency, you choose that which is harmful and wipe out those. Focus on those which is causing more harm. Focus on those tendencies which are causing more harm, which are stopping your progress. And then the rest you can keep it, because they all disappear when this organism dies. It is very easy. Some of the impulses, some of the habits are necessary for preservation of life, survival. So not all needs to go. Like I gave an example of impulses of a man or a woman. They need not go away. It's perfectly natural. Only that which is impure. Impure means which is harmful. For a seeker, that which is stopping his or her progress is harmful. That is the definition of impurity for a seeker. He is not concerned with other things really. So Aditya's first question was, how are spiritual goals achieved on the path of knowledge? So he got half mark. And the half mark, why was deducted? Because it needs to be explained a little bit. Just like I told him that you need to think a little bit about it. What is the question asking? It is asking about the spiritual goal. So first we need to specify what is the goal on the path of knowledge. Only then we talk about its way of achievement. Spiritual goal is destruction of ignorance. Now, how it is done on the path of knowledge? By walking in a disciplined manner, step by step, under the guidance of somebody who has already done it. This is the how part. Simply follow instructions. So easy. Then what are the instructions? Yes, define all the words precisely, use pure language, use good language, and listen, contemplate, abide. Very simple. Find out what is the ignorance, drop it, reject it. Nothing else needs to be done. The goal is destruction of ignorance. Nothing else, really. Destruction of ignorance should automatically cause awareness, automatically cause purification. This is the key. So you must know why you are on the path of knowledge, otherwise you will achieve nothing, even if you precisely follow whatever was told. And number 2, what causes knowledge? Here also he got 0.5 mark. He said something about the memory and experience. Yes, it was not so clear for me at least. Experiences, when they are stored in the memory, cause knowledge. That is the cause of knowledge. So it is also called a tendency. It is a tendency in every creature that whatever they see around, hear around, they keep storing in the memory. Now what differentiates knowledge from ignorance is the logical connections. How that experience got stored there. That is what differentiates knowledge from ignorance. Was it imagined? Was it believed blindly? Was it assumed somehow? Or was totally illogical connection was made? Everything that is done like this is ignorance. Now, what is the funny thing about knowledge? All of it is ignorance. Whatever people think is knowledge is actually ignorance. This is very clearly told in your chapter number 10 on unknowing, a very important chapter. So we remove all of it actually. Nothing remains except unknowing. I don't know. Why do we do this? You probably know. Everybody knows this, I think. If not, this you can contemplate. However, that which is stored is not destroyed, is not forgotten. It is labeled as unnecessary. It is labeled as not required. Or you can say it is useful in survival, everyday life, but it is not true. Its labeling is changed. Instead of deleting it completely, because if you delete it completely, you will lose. Probably it won't be possible to live. So we focus on the major ignorance that is delaying our progress, and we simply discard it. The meaning of the word knowledge now becomes removal of ignorance. So, what causes knowledge? Removal of ignorance. Very simple, isn't it? So, like this, if the answers are complete, you get complete marks. But anyhow, you all are new, you all are starting. So, slowly you will learn to complete the answer from all the points of views. Remember this, the definition of knowledge is different when the knowledge is not there. The definition of knowledge changes when the knowledge is there. This is true for many things on the path of knowledge. Right now, you are a seeker. Let us assume you don't know who you are. So, you will be called a seeker. But after knowledge, there is no seeker. There is no seeker. So, this happens before knowledge, after knowledge. The situation is completely different sometimes. So, number 3, how can the individual decide what is true when the individual itself is false? So, this answer was not satisfactory at all. I could not follow. Anybody has any good answers for this? Very sharp, clear answer. Because we say that truth is subjective and arbitrary. Who is choosing? Subject means here the individual. And we come to know that it is false. Very quickly we come to know. Just after establishing the criteria of truth, we come to know that the one who established it, decided what is true and false, itself is false. So what is the meaning of criteria then? Radha is saying there is nothing true or false, it's all mind created. Very good answer, yes. The individual is also not true and also not false. Is it true? Very tricky question. That's why I said it is very difficult. Some of the questions in the test are difficult. You will need to think about it for at least few minutes, some hours, one day. That's why the test is useful for others also. You get free lunch for your mind, for your intellect, food for thought. Narendra is saying unchanging is true. That is subjective and arbitrary criteria. Who decides this? Who decides unchanging is true? Individual, and the individual is false. Just like knowledge, isn't it? We start with some definition of knowledge, then we see, oh, everything is useless, it is false. Let's drop it. Where is the problem in this question? It is contradicting itself. And the question is asking, how can the individual decide it itself is false? And it is actually not at all a problem. Individual is false, but it can decide. It can decide whatever it wants. It is free to decide. That is why we say that this decision to call something true and something false is purely subjective. We start with this, something at least. This book is true, this guru is true, that one is false, something like this. You see, normal, ordinary people start like this. We need to start somewhere. Then we keep checking. What do we want? Ultimate truth. What is the definition of ultimate truth? Which should be true, which should remain the same no matter what is the context, no matter what are the circumstances. It should not change. If I say this is true, it should not change with place, time, people, etc., etc. So after a lot of thinking, this false individual checks that there is only one criteria which is applicable in all situations, and that is unchanging, is true. But it also sees, it has the intelligence to see that then I will also become false. This is the turning point. This is the bomb blast of spirituality. Because only after realizing that this thing which I was assuming to be true comes out to be false, that means there is something else which is true. That means I am not this individual. See how important it is. This process is important. Choosing the criteria for truth is important. You can choose anything. Start somewhere because we don't know. We don't know what is true. Start with I don't know and explore. So once you say that I want that truth which remains true, whether waking, dreaming, sleeping, whatever you say, you find only one criteria that satisfies your demand. Only paradox is the one who chose that criteria turns out to be false according to that criteria, which is a good news because then you know the essence. You can start from the point of view of essence also. You can define essence that which remains no matter how many names and forms are taken, like a wooden table, that example was given, like clay and the objects made of clay. You say, I want to know that which remains when the forms and names change. That is another approach. Instead of deciding subjective criteria, that is another approach. And I think that is more intelligent. And there also the result is the same. The one who is looking for the ultimate truth becomes false. That is its own destruction. However, that limitation which was assumed as true, the individual is limited, isn't it? It is like standing in a circle and saying that I am the one who is inside the circle, the rest is not me. So this circle is erased. Nothing bad happens. Don't worry. Individual is gone or is false does not mean that it is destroyed. That is the good news, isn't it? It is not destroyed. Only its limitation is seen as false. It is still there. Like Radha said, nothing true, nothing false. It is there. Even if you don't want to label it false or true, it will remain there even after self-knowledge, self-realization. This individual is still here, isn't it? Only that it is seen as unlimited, not limited. The essence will be seen as all-pervading existence, Brahman, instead of the small individual ego, body-mind, creature. So, in the end, we don't mind. In the end, we are happy. Okay, false. No problem at all. Because I have become the ultimate. I came to know the ultimate. And there, just like I said, the knowledge also disappears. And this process is really strange, isn't it? And then unknowing remains. And there I don't want to really know what is true and what is false because the objective is achieved. The objective is being that which I am. Knowing the true essence and abiding in the true essence. And that is not known as an object. That is known as self. That is me. That statement is not accurate, but we need to say something, isn't it? We need to convey the idea somehow. So simply being remains. Now we are not concerned with what is true and what is false. And we are not concerned with what is knowledge, what is not. Because it turns out to be unknowable. It is so simple. It is so pure. There is nothing to know there also. So this is the beauty of path of knowledge. It is amazing. Can you think of any other way to get this status, this situation, this state of being what you are? If you can find something else, it will be a great discovery, you see. But people found this way, people found this path. So it does not matter if the individual who chooses the criteria is true or false, if it takes you to your objective, which is destruction of knowledge and abiding in your true nature, abiding in your essence. It does not really matter where you start. What gets labeled as false, what gets labeled as knowledge or ignorance, it does not matter in the end. But it matters really in the beginning. So just now I said a few minutes ago that before knowledge, after knowledge, the situations are very different sometimes. This can become a good topic for talk itself. Before knowledge, after knowledge, what happens? Okay, number 4, 5, 6, 7. All these answers were good. There is a very good question here. Why is experiencer located inside my head? And his answer was correct. That it is a belief. Because if you investigate, you will not find something called experiencer inside the head. There are bones, and there is brain, and there are organs and so on inside the head. There is nothing called experiencer. Because if you can find something, it will be an experience. So what is inside the head? You will notice that there are senses on the head. All the 5 senses are on the head. Eyes are there, ears are there, smell, nose, taste, mouth, and obviously obviously the touch, which is also in whole of the body, rest of the body. But the other 4 are not there in rest of the body. That is a big surprise, isn't it? So because of survival pressures, they are all located in the head. We want to minimize the wiring to the brain, so it is very close to the brain. Actually, eyes and ears are a part of the brain. They are not separate from the brain. The sense organs are in the head. And because the experience seems to be coming from the sense organs, and the one who is experiencing also is placed there by the mind, by ignorance. It is assumed. What happens if you move all these organs in some other part of the body? Let us say on your hand. Now the assumption will be that I am in the hand. It is possible. For example, when you are dreaming, where are you? Where is the experiencer? And the one who says that I am in the head will in the dream will say, I am in the head of that dream person. He will say, I don't have any doubts. The experience has shifted from my head, which is now sleeping, to the head of the person who is found in the dream. And when you wake up, you obviously see the absurdity of this assumption. Same way, when you realize your true nature, you wake up and see that it is an assumption. The sources of the experience through the senses provide this illusion that I am behind these eyes, or I am behind these ears, behind the nose, but there is nothing there. Amazing, isn't it? The illusion can be so strong. It is completely convincing. However, little bit of thinking or little bit of experimenting disproves it. Okay, so number 8. Do the world, objects or body exist when they are not perceived, like in deep sleep? So he got no marks here. The answer was not satisfactory because he told something about the deep sleep. What happens in the deep sleep? Like blankness and so on, which is all correct. But the question is not asking anything about deep sleep. The question is asking about the world, objects or body, and it gives an example of a state like in deep sleep because they are not perceived in the deep sleep. Obviously, if you close your eyes, you won't perceive. Or if you are in one city, you won't perceive the other city. Does that mean that it is not there? Exist means, is it there or not? So we discussed these things in one of the satsang where the question came that whether the moon exists when we are not looking at it, or what is there when we are not looking at something. In deep sleeps, it is a very peculiar case because we are looking at nothing at all, no perception. It is fine to say that yes, experiencer is there, yes, some kind of experience is there, yes, like he told, Aditya said. It is okay, it's perfectly okay. But what happens to the world? What happens to the objects or body? Do they become like clouds with nothing? Probability distribution? or they remain solid? Like the table will remain wooden table, your house will remain concrete bricks, your body will remain flesh and blood, exactly like you see it in the waking state. Or do they change? Or do they disappear? Anybody has any idea? Any theories? It sounds like a puzzle kind of question, not nothing to do with path of knowledge, but it is very important question on the path of knowledge. It shows very important characteristic of the existence. What is existence? This question can show what everything is. It is very clear that the images that we see as perceptions or the sounds we hear, or the smells, etc., which are called irreducibles, are totally created by the senses. Just like I said, they are part of the brain. So brain is also a sense, actually. Ancient people were right. They realized this before scientists. The brain is sense organ, actually. So it was called the king of senses or sixth sense. Anyhow, they are constructed. Even in waking state, the objects are not that which we perceive. That is why it is called not that, Maya, illusion. There are no objects, we say. So, when there is no perception, what is there? We are not talking about particular state here, as you know. This is applicable in waking state also. And we are not talking about the experiencer here. It is always there. Okay, Neelam is saying, if there is no individual, there is no one to know the truth. When I say that the other city has disappeared because I am not seeing it right now, or it is there even though I am not seeing it right now, there is individual here. What we want to know is whatever I concluded is correct or not. So how is this related to individual? Don't worry about deep sleep. It was simply an example of non-perceiving state. Neelam is saying one cannot know. Yes, that is very good answer. One cannot know. Radha is saying world, body, mind is only thing that we experience. There are no other experience. Correct? Yes. So what happens to them when and there is no experience of it right now? For example, what is behind your head on the other side of the room where you are not looking? Is it not there? Arvind is saying everything is experienced through mind, all perception through mind. That is also true. That's what I said. It is all irreducibles. Mind creates it actually. So, what is it that is perceived then? And what happens to that thing if it is not perceived? Why do we need senses? If I want to create something, I can create without senses, isn't it? So, very big objection here. Neelam is saying there is no individual to perceive. Yes, that is right. The individual does not perceive, only the experiencer experiences. That which is coming from the senses is called perception. That's technical definition. So that is again in deep sleep. Probably you're talking about deep sleep. Aditya is saying objects remain as it is in waking state, giving feeling of continuity, but the experiencer sees what is reflected by mind. So he has decided that the objects remain. The world remains as it is, and it does not disappear, and the body remains as it is. But the experiencer sees that which is reflected by mind or is presented through the filters of senses and the mind. That is a very good answer actually. Arvind is saying not verified through direct experience. Yes, it means something remains, but it's not known. It remains unknown till we see it again. Then I'm saying all remains here, whether one perceives or not. Yes, that is called objectivism, sometimes also called materialism, but that's not really materialism. That philosophy says that objects are real, isn't it? That they are really there and we perceive them as it is. But the path of knowledge or non-dual philosophy does not say like this. Yes, Arvind is right. We cannot know whether it is there or not without direct experience. That is the only way to know what is there. Direct experience. There is no other way to know. The logic says that since it is the same thing which was perceived before, it is true. It is the same. So it must be really out there, independent of our perception. And this is a problem. This kind of logic is a problem. So we go to science. Science has a, you can say, framework or a theory, assumption that everything that appears, whether it appears as object, body or mind or whatever, is a vibration. You can also call it by other names, you see, energy, frequency, change, impermanence, or you can call it potential, unlimited potential. Scientists in physics can call it quantum field of possibilities, etc., etc. Science starts like this. It assumes there is a fundamental reality, and then, yes, then it is modified by the senses, filtered, and only that which is required for survival enters, and somehow this limited view is presented to the experiencer. Now, what happens if this is not, this perception, the activity of perception is not happening? That which is remains as vibration, energy, probability, and potential, and whatever you have assumed, that remains. That is its true form. This is scientific answer. It is very satisfying. It is very accurate, very good, and you can explain everything now. Now, the independency of the objects without a perceiver is also established. However, the name and form, that is the irreducible, still requires perception, although they are present there as something else, not that which is seen. So ultimately, it is illusion. That is, which is seen is illusion. But some people can say, yes, that is illusion, but what is it of? What is producing that illusion? You need something to produce the illusion when looked through the senses. So that something cannot be known directly, like Arvind said, or Neelam said, unknowable. And so some framework, some theory, some scientific assumptions must be made. What is it? Some logical, framework should be there. It is like this. And then you can calculate and do mathematics, and you will see it is precise, perfect. It explains the illusion. It does not become true. That is the point. This is the scientific perspective, and there is no other way to know what is appearing. It is disappointing. It is disappointing. The path of knowledge has the right answer actually. Whatever you call outside, the world, objects or body, whatever there is, before it is distorted by the senses and perception, is me. The one who witnesses that distorted view of myself is me. Both are me. I am. This I am is the existence. See how easy it is. So the world, objects and body, they are me. And when the perception is not happening, that means undistorted, although it will not be known because I am unknowable, I still exist. I don't disappear. The existence does not disappear because nobody is looking at it. However, it is not that which it appears to be when it is looked at. It is very complicated answer. It will take a lot of thinking to accept this. Really, nobody likes this answer. Nobody accepts this. How is it possible, you see? And that is why the knowledge of oneness is required. Once you know that everything is me, however it appears, it does not matter now. It can appear in any way. It appears at all, that is a miracle. Thanks to the senses and the brain and the body and the individual, it is known also thanks to the memory. That is a miracle. So we are not bothered about how it is appearing, in what form it is appearing, how distorted it is or how limited it is, because we know that it is me only. Since I am unlimited, infinite, the infinite cannot appear. It always appears in a limited way. The infinite cannot be perceived by a finite memory, finite mind, finite individual. It won't fit there, isn't it? In common words, we can say like this. Language of ignorance. The infinite will not fit in your mind, in your intellect. Your senses cannot capture it. That is true. So that is why your first chapter itself says, we insert this one word limited there, that the existence is appearing to itself in limited form. Have you noticed this word limited there? Because the unlimited form is not possible. It will always be limited, but it is still unlimited because infinite limited forms can appear. So a limited form multiplied by infinite is unlimited. So anyway, the existence is perceiving itself unlimitedly in unlimited manner, even though the mind says these things are fragmented, small parts, one at a time. And that limitation is not of the existence or the experiencer, that limitation is of the mind. If you don't like the word mind, You don't know how to define it. You can call it individual. This individual is limited, not the existence. However, an ignorant person, the ignorant individual mind, will say this is the truth. Objects are really there. They are what they appear to be. They remain if I go away, if I die, if I sleep, they will remain. See how amazing this illusion is. How difficult it is to accept the teachings of the path of knowledge. How refined your thinking and your mind should be to reach here. Now you can understand why nobody gets satisfied with the path of knowledge. They always doubt. And even somebody who is an expert of all the scriptures and all, they cannot answer these questions. So Aditya has a lot of work in front of you. Check how deep this path goes. It is not I am the whole, I am the Brahman and end of the path. No, it is very deep. The program starts you on the path. It is an initiation. Although the whole knowledge is given, but the questions keep coming. Have you seen there is no limit to the questions? Every day you get a question. And every week we add 10, 20 questions to our database. By the way, whatever questions you are getting for daily contemplation in this group are exam questions that were asked to other seekers. Is there end of it? The same doubt appears in form of other question, something else. What happens in the deep sleep? What happens after death? You see, they are very valid questions. So it will take a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise to answer all these questions. And I can guarantee you nobody is satisfied with this. The illusion is complete. The illusion is very powerful. However, the truth wins in the end. That is, if you are consistent, if you are after it, I need to know what is there. If your practice is very strong, you will reach the truth. So what happens to your dream? It is also potential. When the dream stops and your attention comes back on the senses, which is called waking state, physical senses, what happens to people in the dream? Do they disappear? Now you can answer it, isn't it? Now you can answer it. From the scientific point of view, they become memory again. They become this vibration again. See how beautiful it is. And from the non-dual perspective, they become the me again in pure form. Nothing is destroyed. And if you see that this whole world, the waking state is also a dream, you get the answer to the question what happens after death. Nothing is destroyed. It returns to the source. It returns to the purity that is me. And it can reappear anyway. It can reappear in any way. See how beautiful. Once you get the answers, it is all logical. It is all satisfactory. But to climb this wall, it takes effort. It takes time. It takes dedication. You need to be a seeker. Nothing is destroyed in this existence because nothing is actually created. It is all potential. It is all some kind of memory. For convenience, we invent this memory and it takes form. It takes many form, some limited, some big, some small. It is all me. At least personally, I find this satisfactory. I don't know about the other seekers. They are still searching. I see them every day. They keep searching because somehow they cannot let go of this belief that there are no objects. There is no individual. Perception is simply an appearance. It's not real. There is no mind also. And then some are stuck in science. They think the theory is real. Or the theory is explaining something which is already real. It is an approximation of reality. That is what the scientist will say. No, it is not. It is made up. It can provide some kind of model. You can build a model of it, but it does not answer anything. Okay, Arvind is saying it appears to be there because mind tells us so because of past experiences. Yes. The mind says, I know it was there before because somehow it appeared in the same way. When it compares the present memory to the past memory, nothing much has changed, like your house or the world or the body. It does not change day to day that much. It is slowly changing. It is not that it is unchanging. It is slowly changing, and that gives us an illusion of permanence of objects and worlds and bodies. If the comparison distance is increased, like you compare things 100 years apart, then the mind will say, it was not there, now it is there, or it was there, it is not there. Illusion, mind will say like this. This is the dependence of reality on the speed of time, speed of change, which is demonstrated in our program using a tomato. It is demonstrated. You can directly apply the example of tomato on world, body, objects, mind. It's all illusion. However, there is a truth behind the illusion. Illusion cannot stand on its own. Illusion of what? People will ask. It is me. Or if you don't like the word I or me, some people will say egoistic words. So you can say it is the experiencer, it is the existence, it is the whole. Neelam is saying there is the potential of infinite questions too in the existence. Very good, very good sentence. Everything is infinite, so why not questions? So truth is finite. You can write the truth in one line like we did in our first chapter. But ignorance is infinite because it can go wrong in all possible ways. Oh, sometimes I give this example of a string. If you take a string, thread, and you throw it on the floor, what is the chance that it will land there on the floor in a perfect straight line? What is the chance? And you will say almost zero. Even if I keep throwing that thread from whatever height or whatever speed I want, probably I can keep throwing it for 10 years, 20 years, slightly, approximately it will become straight line sometimes. Why? There are more positions to take than the straight line. Straight line is one, but the number of forms that the thread can take on the floor is uncountable. It is billions or trillions kind of possible forms can appear there. So 1 out of billion, that is the chance. So truth is one. How much is ignorance? Billions of ways it can appear, you see. Chance that you hit on the truth is a miracle. You got it, that itself is a miracle. You came to know the truth is the biggest miracle. The individual is false, the memory is false, it is all assumption. Still, we came to know something. Although we say unknowable, but at least we came to know the essence. At least we came to know whatever I thought, all these loops of the string, they are not true. This much can be known. It is not knowledge, it is negative knowledge. So it was removed. It is a removal, it is a purification. So that is the miracle, isn't it, of path of knowledge. So let's go to the next question. 9. In oneness, the experience and the experiencer disappear and only emptiness remains. Explain. So he explained. It was not so clear. So he got 0.5. There is a problem in the question. It says experience and the experiencer disappear. Did you notice that? It's a trick question. In oneness, they do not disappear. They merge. There is no division. The division is not made by the mind. So you can, instead of explaining, you can simply trash the question. What to explain here? The assumption is itself wrong. Now, what about only emptiness remains in oneness? Even if they merge, does the emptiness remain in oneness? And that is also wrong, somehow. And the emptiness is still there. In two-ness, three-ness, whatever. It is all empty. That which is appearing is empty. Just now you came to know. That which is witnessing is empty. There is no substance there. Ultimately, that which is appearing is a distorted form of the infinite potential of that which is witnessing. It is all empty now. It is total emptiness. However, it is not nothingness. It is infinite. Only the empty can be infinite. This much at least you know. So right now also, even if the perception and distortions and illusions are there, it is empty. This is the trick to know the oneness. It is not an experience of some special kind. Right now is the oneness. Right now is the emptiness. So how easy it is when you know everything, how easy it looks. When somebody explains to you how easy it is to grasp, how difficult it is when you don't have a teacher, you don't have a path, you don't have a practice, nobody tells you. There is no chance in this eternity that you will come to know the truth. Nobody gives importance to spirituality and path of knowledge. I know. It is extraordinary. At least I can tell you my opinion here. What do you give importance to? Worldly matters, distortion of senses, the impermanent aspect. It is beautiful, isn't it? It's not important. Anyhow, we cannot simply impose our thinking on others. Probably it is important for other people, and that is also happening in the existence. Like she said, there's potential for infinite kinds to appear. So why not? However, such exams and such questions which make you think and think and think, they show that what you stumbled upon, what you encountered here is something very extraordinary. This is the one which gives you answers, nothing else. Aditya is saying, I am not complaining but just asking out of curiosity that most paths say that they are easy and need no effort, but every path requires significant efforts. Is it done to keep sadhaks motivated? Yes, yes. See, for a player, the game is easy. But for a new person, that person will find that it is very difficult to play. It is very difficult to compete. They always lose. They are always unsuccessful. The trophy goes to player. For the champion, it is easy. So those who are saying, okay, my path is very easy, they have already championed. They are already experts. Like sometimes I also say, look, this question, it is very easy. But you guys, they simply stare at the question, how come it is easy? It has become easy because you walked on that path. So sometimes we say, it will become easy or it is easy. Just do this. So although totally depends on the seeker. Usually everybody struggles. That is my case also. Struggled for so many years. Who knows how many lifetimes we all are struggling. So finally I see something which has some promise, which which has a little bit of satisfaction there. Not much, isn't it? You will always get a question. Now what about this? Now what about that? Although you will accept, okay, it is me who is appearing and all. But why this? Why that? How is that? How is that? So the existence keeps you busy. Okay, it's all fine, illusion, but I need to live my life. How to do that? Problematic people, problematic world, problematic body as it gets old, fear of death, insecurity. What about that? You see, ultimately, there is no stagnation in this existence. It will keep you moving. That is why, even after knowing the truth, we choose the difficult path of spiritual evolution, isn't it? Very easy to say, I know everything, don't tell me. But it is difficult because even after knowing everything, you cannot avoid the spiritual evolution. So start the purification, start the self-evaluation, do some service, something, and the existence keeps you busy. However, knowing that it is rest, knowing that it is bliss, will make the evolution also lighter. It will be seen as easy, not so difficult. However, if you travel totally in darkness, there is no hope then. Now it is very difficult. For some people, the path of knowledge is most difficult. I know some people, I meet these people, they say it is all imagination. How is that possible? So anyway, I hope everybody got something out of the discussion, and good luck to Aditya. Yes, you are progressing nicely. Continue on the step number 4, and we'll end today's meeting here. Thank you everybody for attending the meeting. I'll see you next time. Namaste.